Welcome to the Manders Mindset podcast. Here you'll find both monologue and interviews of entrepreneurs, coaches, healers, and a variety of other people, where your host Amanda Russo will discuss her own mindset and perspective and her guest mindset and perspective on the world around us. Manders and her guests will help explain to you how shifting your mindset will shift your life.
Welcome to Manders Mindset, where we explore the power of shifting your mindset to shift your life. I'm your host, Amanda Russo, and I'm here today with Shruti Sethi, and she has such a powerful journey. She's an author, a cancer coach, a holistic nutritionist, and I am so excited for you guys to hear her journey and how she shifted her mindset. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Amanda.
Who would you say Shruti is at the core?
Oh, that's a beautiful question. I often wonder, and it keeps shifting and it keeps changing. But at the core, I think what I am here and what I represent myself as pure love, pure energy, who wants to transform people's life, have transformative experiences myself, and transform people's life for good. So I think at the core level, I am love. I represent love.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. Would you say you've always represented love?
Never. That's not it. I was absolutely brutal. I was, this one aggressive girl who wanted to snatch everything from the universe or from God, to fight with God, and just was very. Of course, I was fearless. I was fearless, but I was not someone who was very compassionate or looking into what other needs are. I wanted something, I have to get my needs first. I was the opposite of spreading love, or I wouldn't even say self love. It would say just my team has to win. It's more egocentric rather than giving or sort of a thing where ego is not to be coming in between. So it was a very transformative journey which I had, as you were mentioning, through cancer and all, which made me realize that at the deep core and the source, when you start transforming yourself, and I'm still on a transformative journey, is that every soul, everyone, we are so connected, each and every one of us, despite of our religion and backgrounds, but we come from the same source and we are connected. And we all, in the deep sense, are represent love. We need love. We crave for love. Nothing but love from universe, from God, or from your loved ones. So I think each and everyone has that. It's just hidden somewhere.
I get what you mean. Can you take us down memory lane? Tell us a little bit about your family dynamic, your childhood.
Yeah. So actually, I grew up in a typical, if you say, Indian family background where we lived as a joint family, and we were like all my uncles, aunts, and we were all together, almost nine children living in a large house, having a lot of space, and we used to play together, eat together, go to school together. So there was a lot of different, say, personalities coming together with elders and my father's brothers and all coming together. So I had such a I used to see different people and different dynamics playing, the egos playing out, or people who were there was also a lot of love, no doubt, but there was a lot of comparisons. There was a lot of in doubt. In Even if people didn't compare, I used to compare, or I used to like. I thought that I was pretty suppressed because maybe I was a black sheep of the family, but I had different visions and ideas about how I wanted to live my life. And I couldn't really was accepted as such. I could see even if they didn't say anything, the energy. I always wanted to be by myself. and just be in my thoughts. But there was some mismatch in my family dynamics. Of course, we've seen a lot of fights. I don't say I come from a dysfunctional family. I can't say that word, but I come from someone who was not communicating properly. And that I felt a lot later on in my life, which I lacked in was proper communication, where people don't offend and having chats together, resolving things together, which was not there. And I still feel a void of that. That had it been that, we would have really spoken about what we wanted and not really got into, oh, this is the path, you have to go through it and you have to take these certain decisions. I think it would have been a lot more different for
Now, you mentioned 9 kids. Were how many were your siblings?
two. I'm the oldest siblings, and I had one brother. I have one brother and sister who are younger to me, but they were their own personalities. They were their own. They had their own things going on. But I was never very deeply connected till the time I got married, and I really was like I spoke to my sister and brother once about what I was going through. It was very later on in life where I started communicating my feelings. Otherwise, we were pretty disconnected as to what's happening and all that.
So you lived with your cousins as well. So it was nine
Yes.
nine kids. How was that in your childhood, having just so many kids there?
If I look back now, it was super fun. It was definitely, because we have such good company and you don't need anything. And we used to cycle together. We used to go for maybe picnics together, school together. So we had like different people and we used to always have help in the sense that if we wanted to go to our elders, we used to get some help in some assignment or homework or etc. That was a lot of fun. But there was also, I mean, I always felt, to be very frank with you, I felt alone. I felt not understood well from my family, from my cousins, from my brother, from my sister. And maybe it was my own ego which was shadowing me, or my energy which I couldn't really respond to properly. Or I didn't communicate properly. But I did feel that I wanted to I wanted to run away. Actually, a lot of times I wanted to run away from that restricted household, and I wanted to fly and wanted to own my own things, which I did eventually. But it felt constrained. It felt restricted. It felt not communicate, living. Although it was a lot of fun, and now I am very grateful that I've got that upbringing of, have, when you live with each other, you start to even tolerate each other, which is a very key element which people are lacking these days. They just can't tolerate anything. They don't have patience. They don't have any understanding, which I have developed for sure. But yeah, I mean, there are pros and cons of living in a joint family.
I'm sure. I agree what you mentioned about people can't handle things like being around so many people, even if they weren't your family members, and whether you got along with them or not, that's a lot of people to live with and to share a living space with. How was schooling
Exactly.
for you?
My God, schooling was a lot of fun. I was always the head girl and, the captain of so many teams. I was very good in sports. I was good in extracurricular activities. I was a good speaker. I won so many competitions, but also I was like, I had good friends. But I was as a go getter, I used to shout at people as a captain when things were not getting done, not in a bad way, but I was very, very highly motivated and wanted to achieve, wanted to come first all the time, and was pretty aggressive and was very, very like, I would also say I didn't care. I was very like, I didn't care. I was carefree about other people's feelings, or even like, I would just say things out in my team. But when I was in my house, I couldn't. I mean, there was such a contrast. So as a leader, I was fantastic, but as an individual, I was suppressing from my childhood for sure.
Do they call it high school in India?
Yes, Yeah.
And so what was next steps for you after that?
So after high school, I was in college and I hated my college. I just didn't like. I wanted to move to some other city, but my parents were so protective; they didn't let me go, and I just hated those 3 years. I was thinking in, and I didn't want to do anything. Though my subjects, though I chose art as a subject and I chose painting, that was fun. I just didn't like. I wanted to do, and I had aspirations. But then after the college, I actually moved to a different big city like New York and Mumbai. And I pursued my fashion career and I was working with a lot of fashion designers. And then I had my own label. So I was working as a bridal designer. I had my own store, like a boutique of sorts, and was working with Bollywood people and designed for a lot of celebrities and stuff. So that was like a very glamorous lifestyle, which I did have. Late nights and a lot of stress and partying and just, and obviously then at that stage I got married as well. But that was a complete city life, which was very stressful indeed, and it was also fun. So
And now how long did you have the boutique for?
I ran the boutique for almost 3.5 years, and then actually also my relationship started getting sore with my husband, and we decided to take just live separately. And in that time, I got the diagnosis of cancer when I was going through a divorce. So that was a very, very tough time. I mean, I was like, oh God, I don't have money. I don't have a relationship. I don't have a house. I don't have my parents. My parents live in US. So now I'm in US. But it was very difficult time. As I said, I don't know what am I living for? And now, and when you get exactly 10 years back, got the diagnosis. So I'm 10 years cancer free now. So yeah, so it's been a journey, right? These 10 years and how I got the diagnosis almost 10 years back. But it was chilling, like chilling to the spine, the diagnosis, because you're only 34 years old and you get the diagnosis and you don't know what to do. Anyways, your life is just spinning down, and over this, your health also gets bad and bad, and it was just like as if, the earth it stopped moving and I don't know where to go. That was the kind of feeling. So the cancer diagnosis was one of the thing which was like, okay, now what? And why me? That again, the ego was talking, why me? Why the hell? What does God want from me? Um, you don't get the answer so soon and you have to go through the process. It is a difficult moment and I can truly understand when people are getting devastated and they ask these questions and why they ask. As such, I always thought that okay, I am healthy, and that time I realized that okay, maybe I'm not really. I compartmentalize the mind and body and your soul. Like okay, these are different entities. Everything is connected. Your cancer just doesn't happen all of a sudden. All chronic issues take time. And maybe my stress always triggers it. So all of these things I learned in my journey. What is stress? Like why people take stress? Everybody takes stress. So why what was that triggers for me? Maybe it was my relationship, maybe it was those suppressed emotions I had buried for years and years and I've never communicated them properly. And maybe when I had a relationship, it was not, I thought I'm absolutely you not taking care of my own needs and giving way too much just because I love someone. And it was, it was so bad that I had to go through torture, like physical torture, mental torture. And I didn't understand how does that person who you love so much can torture you. So that realization, my self worth, I think that issue was started when you asked the low self esteem. There's no self worth sprouted when I was a child, and it was way till in my 30s and late 30s that I understood that okay, I need to work on my self esteem and self worth, which I started doing. And I now realize that, okay, these are the things which can really mentally affect you.
Now, when you got the diagnosis, what was your first step? What'd you do?
First step, of course, you have to go to the doctors, get your test done, and do the whole shebang and understand. And you when you go to the doctor, they never they tell you, okay, this could be genetic, but I didn't have any as such cancer gene or anything. It was lymphatic cancer, which is the cancer of immune system, the WBC cancer. So again, I was fighting it out that no, I don't want to go through chemo and I lose my hair and I don't want to go the conventional therapies, etc., etc. And I'm going to do it my way. I did like succeed when I changed my diet and my lifestyle, and I came into mindfulness and yoga and understanding about breath, etc. But I was carrying a lot of hatred, anger, frustration still for my ex-husband. That because of him and because of my parents, because of this circumstance, uh, I'm into this. I was not taking responsibility of my own doing or of cancer. And then when I realized it was like, okay, the cancer grew to stage 3, and then I had no other choice but to take conventional therapy. But on the same hand, I opened my arms, I let my guard down, I let my ego down, and I really started embracing each day as it comes. And then what the hell, like, life is so fragile, anything can happen. Let me just enjoy my life. And whatever the circumstances are, I'm going to be peaceful. I made it very clear to me no matter what happens, I am going to find some sort of happiness and peace throughout the day. Whether it could be just, having moments of gratitude. I'm alive. I'm getting up. I have my mom and dad now next to me. I have some people who love me no matter what. And it's basically a habit which you have to eventually form. It doesn't come easy. It is not at all easy. But you have to change if you want to achieve or if you want to really transform, you have to start with gratitude, or you have to start by just choosing something, one thing which is better, and just keep doing it as a discipline thing, as how military people do it. They don't think too much, they just do it, and eventually it becomes a habit. So I started doing that for myself and still do it. Like, it- it's now in my subconscious mind that I have to get up and 10 things I'm grateful for, no matter what. It's my bed, it's my pillow. Find 10 things you have to be grateful for. And then, of course, it so happened that, life started feeling very easier. Things started getting easy. Like, right people started entering in my life. The right doctors, the right healers, the right practitioners, the right holistic approaches. And then within few months, the cancer was like in 4 chemos, the cancer was gone. Because I realized all of that. And I worked on it. It's not that I didn't work. And then I didn't take radiation. I had a strong intuition that I'm healed. And it's been 10 years now that I'm cancer free. I never went again to the doctors. Of course, I do my test. I keep myself healthy, and all the testings and everything are being done. But I realized something, that if you want to heal truly, you have to believe that you have that power, and you have that, and the source is with you. And then just do the things. Don't put your logic into a play. And then you see how miracles happen. So that's what
Hmm.
happened. And I'm very grateful that I have gone through what I've gone through. Cancer has definitely been a life-changing event in my life. And I'm pretty grateful that I got that opportunity to transform my life. And I live so with love and with open arms, and embrace whatever is coming my way, whether it's good, whether it's bad.
Now, you mentioned in the form that you consider there's only one way to beat cancer. What would you say the one way is?
I think the one way is to choose. I always tell people, it's a beautiful saying. It's not what, it's a quote that life is not what happens to you, but what you choose it to be. So if you want to be cancer free, first of all, make a choice that you will be, and whatever way it could be conventional medicine way, it could be nutrition, holistic way, but you have to choose and really have faith. That's very powerful. And that plays, I think, it keeps changing now. The more I see people, the more I coach people, I know that the power of the mind and the power of your thoughts is extremely powerful. It's so powerful, more than your nutrition, more than your medicine. So I believe that power of faith, power of your own mind, healing within you isn't more important than choosing anything else.
I get that. And I've never had cancer myself, so I know I can't speak on it, but I get what you mean. You've got to have the faith that you at some point will be cancer free, regardless of how.
Yes, that's something which even what I also feel is like we should not be attached to we manifest like a lot of people manifest good health, but we should not be attached to the whole thing that I'm going to be cancer free and I'm going to beat it. Like even small phrases like beat or it has a negative. I never call myself cancer survivor. Surviving is what I'm a thriver. I've thrived it. I'm living it. So I always tell people that even the smallest thing like your emotions is so important. Like, how are you feeling? When you say, I'm going to beat cancer, I'm going to beat cancer. Like, there is a difference, right? There is a difference between both of these. So, you have to be, you have to believe it from your core. And even if you want to pretend, but live it out.
I completely agree. Now, I'm curious, the book that you wrote, The Healing Power Within, did you write that after you were diagnosed
Yes.
with cancer?
Oh, yes. Like, it took me a lot of years to write it. I'm not a writer, but a lot of my clients, my family, my friends were after me that you should pen down your thoughts. And I also thought that, it's good because you meet and like when you talk to people, they have so many questions, they have so many doubts. And when you see a real story, uh, talking about their journey, you get a lot of confidence. You get, okay, this person has already read the path. Why not? Even I read so many books of cancer thrivers, and it gave me a lot of hope and it gave me a lot of, you learn from others' mistakes. So I wrote it because not only just to so that people could or to get famous, it's something which is truly from the heart and people who are suffering or are caregivers or want to understand more about cancer can read it and understand. I'm given such a uh, life examples of mind, body, spirit, soul, everything, integration. How do you find out things? And what diet I have gone through, what doctors I've met, and what they've told my doctors, even their perception about cancer. So it's and my client journeys, like people who are really beaten fourth stage cancer, last stage cancer, and come out. There are a lot of stories like that, and it should be well spread, and it should people should know about it.
Now, I'm curious, and I ask it everybody I speak to who's written a book. Have you always thought about writing a book?
Actually, I used to write a lot. Since I was a kid, I used to write a lot, like in journals. I used to write stories. I used to love, like, I have, like, I don't know how many books, since I was a child. Like, I used to love collecting diaries. It's a ritual. Like, every year I'm going to buy some 5, 6 diaries and write things down. So, there was some sort of streak in me to write. And when I got cancer, I was on the journey and, I was just having conversations with God. And I told him that, if I get free, if I get cancer free, I'm definitely going to share my journey. And I don't know what, but I said, I don't know the path yet, but I am going to do something about it. And eventually, I think that was a seed which was sown And right people started coming. I just got my coaching clients. I got my people hired me for speaking gigs. People hired me for as a health coach in the corporate form, which was like, what do I do? I am not even qualified for doing such certain things. But I think it was my passion and my openness and my willingness to let life happen to me and understand. Okay, just let's see what happens. Well, I was a fashion designer, and after cancer, I was just living and enjoying life, and I took a break. I absolutely wanted to take a break for my body and healing and see what I want to do. And then just the right things happened, and then I started learning from doctors, and I enrolled in courses in nutrition, and that's how I came into this.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I get why you did, though, especially after the journey. Now, I'm curious, you work with clients now as well who have cancer. And how, what's the biggest way that you help them on their journey?
I think first of all, the calming their mind. Six, because there is so much information out there. Hundreds of, like, you go to Google, you go to Chat GPT, you can get bits of information and what to choose, what is right for you, what is not, what kind of diet should they be doing after chemo, what protocols should they be applying, should they detox, should they not. The biggest fear is also, it's like, when you have cancer, it's the biggest fear is of it coming back, right? It's still dangling. It's like dangling on your head, that sword. And most people, cancer, once you finish the cancer treatment, you're left alone. But that dangling sword is always there. So that is the biggest fear for most of people. So how do you live fearlessly? Because, it is a very hard and difficult journey. I mean, chemo is not easy. The test, going to the doctors and going through the whole thing is absolutely draining, and it stays with you for a long time. So, how do you get once the treatment's over? What do you do? You're just left alone. So, I have a community where people can ask questions, and it's like a nice group coaching we do, and we meditate together. There is always something going on. So, I like to, facilitate a community where I can be of some shares useful resources, what can be done post cancer, different kinds of cancer. So I think it's a very important goal for community, like communities like this to help people and people could reach out.
That's amazing. I bet the community aspect is so helpful. And then seeing other people going through it or having gone through it.
Yeah, I mean there are so many people who live alone or don't have any support system, and they feel very lonely. And that's something which is very like a killer. It's more dangerous than feeling lonely and feeling depressed, more dangerous than anything else. So, when there's a community, when there are people together going through the same thing, gives you some certain hope and feels that, okay, you're not alone. This.
No, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Would you say the yoga and the meditation and all the mindfulness helped you on your cancer journey?
Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, I was never into yoga. I couldn't even sit still. Uh, Not into that at all. But I think, what, yoga is just not about doing postures. It's also about the way you're leading your life. The breath is basically a connection between your soul and your body. So, how do you really connect with yourself? That's the first method, the breath. It's so easy, like you can connect with your own self. And when you do that, you suddenly get a realization that, stillness is so powerful. When you're still, your so many thoughts which are unwanted starts to settle down. You start to feel grounded. You start to feel more you're in present. That's the most important feeling which helped me during cancer was being present and not thinking too much about the future or the past, and really embrace. And that was a game changer for me, really. And I still do yoga. I still teach yoga. I'm a practitioner. I practice meditation, breath work, and also I want to learn more and more. And it's an ancient science and wisdom, and um, it's beautiful. Like if people could understand it, it is just amazing, and it can change lives.
You mentioned you used to not be able to sit still. When did you get involved in yoga and all of that?
Just during cancer, when I was going through chemotherapy, yeah, it was not like I'd never sit, though I've done courses from very good institutes, like, but when you're younger, you want to go to the gym or you want to do Zumba, you want to do so many other things. I was more into that, sports and stuff. But during cancer, with chemo, I couldn't even like walk properly or sit. And that time, yoga came to a complete rescue, which made me realize that, oh wow, like yeah, it is difficult for sure. It is not an easy thing. But as I say, it is a muscle memory you have to build. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 11 minutes, and once you you start getting the benefits, you automatically will feel that, oh, I'm more inclined towards it. Let me learn more. Let me learn more. The window opens. So I think during chemotherapy, exactly 10 years back, I started doing yoga, and it's been a very much part of my regime now.
That's amazing. And you said you teach it also?
Yes, I do. So event, I didn't come into teaching people. When I do these workshops, I always make people do some sort of postures or, just to ground themselves. So it just happened that people were like, no, we want to take a class from you. And now I just teach it personally. Like I have one-on-one clients and also a group class, which I do it over here in New York, and they love it. And then, yeah, it's been great. And I love it too, because I teach a very different kind of yoga. It's not very, it's connection. It's more, whenever I teach, I make sure that I truly honor the practice and give that respect, and not teach the very core principles.
That's amazing. I love that, like almost the opposite for you. I love that.
Yes.
I'm curious, and I'm sure you've had many throughout your journey, throughout your life, but I'm curious what you would say is the biggest aha moment you've had in your life.
The biggest aha moment is that, when one of my first client came to me, and during COVID, she had a relapse of cancer, and the doctors had given her some time, and because it was COVID and she couldn't go for a surgery, and she said that, you know what, I'm surrendering to you, and I really want to get well, and this is the second time and I'm having ovarian cancer, stage 4, and she's really young. So I started working with her very, very diligently, and she got so well. She got absolutely well. And the doctors said that, what are you doing? And you don't need a surgery anymore now. The cancer is gone. So I was like, wow, I mean, I know that miracles can happen, but to facilitate such a kind of miracle, and she's still living absolutely cancer free and living, thriving, it's just so blessed that you can help others transform and help, just show the way. So that was the biggest aha moment. And it was a very difficult case, like very difficult case, because she had thyroid, she had some other multiple issues. So we worked on her mind, her body, like complete transformation of her lifestyle, what was in her kitchen to what was she was applying on her skin, to what was she eating, to what thoughts, and her physical activity. That was something which was an aha moment for me. I mean, I can never forget when she called me from the doctor's office, and she told me, so you're the first person I'm telling, and I was like, wow, this is amazing, like really.
that must feel really great for you. I'm sure with all your clients, like even if it's not something as big, but like how you are helping them look at stuff even differently.
Yeah, I would say, I sleep nicely at night because knowing that someone's doing better just because you've helped them. And it is all because I am, maybe I'm chosen, one of the chosen persons can show other people some path. And I'm very grateful for that. And that's why I like it. It all rolls back. Had I not been had I not got cancer and not gone through that journey myself, I wouldn't be that person which is more giving and more loving. It's everything happens for a reason and it is always for the good. So you have to have patience to understand, what you're going through right now. The answers will come.
I think that's so, so key to have patience. What you with no matter what it is, like, and especially any chronic illness, even if it's something other than cancer, like having the patience is so important.
Yes, truly.
Now, I'm curious, especially now that you work with clients who have gone through cancer and have it, and you've had it yourself. What would you suggest for someone who's been diagnosed with this and they're going to the doctors for the first time? Any tips for them?
Absolutely. So there are some key questions that you should ask them about first of all, what kind of treatment are they going through? How many cycles of chemo, radiation, and are there any other kind of tests they can do? Are there any kind of complications when they suffer with? What kind of alternative therapies they can? I mean, I know most of the doctors are opposed to holistic treatments, but now people are changing. Doctors had this some sort of opening and then sort of understand now what holistic health is. Some integrative oncologists to understand that what kind of alternative treatments can they do? What kind of supplementations can I take with my medication? And that's very important because the chemo kills the good cells, it destroys your healthy tissue. So you have to be taking extra supplementation. Is there any kind of support system? Or do you, because you kind of get anxious and stressful, is there any kind of other support groups or support system do you offer in your facility? Because you might want to talk with the nurse, might want to talk with any other person. These are the key questions you have to go through, and always work with someone, like integrative coach or a cancer coach, where you can get answers to silliest questions because everything counts during cancer. Every single thing counts. Not any, I mean, not a single question is stupid, but you want to get more aware about your a drug or your condition. And most importantly, it's not just about cancer or beating cancer, it's also living cancer free. That plays a role, plays on your mind that, okay, what after? Like, there's so much going on in a cancer patient's mind. What about my family? What about my kids? What about this and this and this? So you need a proper coaching. And I was very lucky to get coaching from. I had a lot of mentors during cancer. It really helped.
That makes sense. Thank you. Thank you for that advice. I appreciate that. Now, I want to transition back a tad, but you mentioned not doing radiation. And I'm curious what led to you declining that.
So the first thing is that I did a lot of research about. So my tumor was around my neck over here, and I had done so much research, and I understood that if I take radiation around my neck, it is definitely going to hamper my thyroid. And I don't want. I sense that I have a little bit of thyroid deficiency because my hands and feet were always cold, but it never came out in the blood. But I didn't want to do that at all. And I know that radiation could reach, first of all, create a lot of complications. And because I had 99% resolution in my cancer, and I also took the help and advice of other holistic doctors, and I took a second opinion, I took a third opinion, I took a fourth opinion. And there were mixed reviews, there were mixed views. But again, I just sat with myself. I literally sat with myself in meditation. And there was a deep voice, and there was a very strong voice which was telling your healed. You just need to relax and just heal. Let's take time off from these drugs. And I told my mom that, no, I'm going to just take some time. I said, no, I said to the doctor, if in 6 months, if any, I'm going to be very diligent and do my due diligence and come to you and get it checked and everything. If there are any signs of any comeback, then we'll do everything. And then I actually left the city and I went to a quieter city to just heal and I had to never look back.
That makes sense in terms of where it was and the effects of it.
I think you
That's
also have to be you. Most people are very like I said I was fearless. Like I took a chance. I don't say this to everyone, but the more knowledge you have, and there are so many now integrative practices and holistic paths which you can choose. And I wish I knew more of it the time I got diagnosed. I think I would have never again taken conventional therapy. But since I've gotten it and I know that, okay, I had to go through because then people could relate to it, I could relate to it, and I could help people. But there are hundreds and other different ways if not somebody doesn't want to go the conventional way. So it's not a medical advice, but I'm saying that you should have knowledge about it.
I completely agree about that. Having the knowledge, asking the questions, and doing your own research before making any decisions.
Absolutely.
I completely agree. Well, thank you so much, Shruti. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you, Amanda. I truly enjoyed also. You asked such beautiful questions and took me to memory back in my childhood from, how I started off and the cancer journey. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Have you heard of a man named Jay Shetty?
Yes.
I'm a big fan. He's got a podcast called On Purpose, and he ends it with 2 segments. And I've borrowed those 2 segments, and I end my podcast with those 2 segments as well. First segment is the many sides to us, and there's 5 questions, and they need to be answered in 1 word each. What is 1 word someone who was meeting you for the first time would use to describe you as?
Peaceful.
What is 1 word someone who knows you extremely well would use to describe you as?
Strong.
What is 1 word you'd use to describe yourself?
Aligned.
What is 1 word that if someone didn't like you or agree with your mindset would use to describe you as?
That's a good question. Can you repeat it again?
What is 1 word that if someone didn't like you or agree with your mindset would use to describe you as?
Someone didn't like you. Headstrong.
What is 1 word you're trying to embody right now?
I am embodying this word called, I think again, aligned. I want to be more and more aligned energetically.
Second segment is the final 5, and these can be answered in a sentence. What is the best advice you've heard or received?
Do your own thing, forget about the world.
Why is that the best?
Because it made me realize that people are going to talk about you no matter how good you do or what you do. It doesn't matter to them. What matters to you is how well you lived.
I agree. What is the worst advice you've ever heard or received?
Actually, I don't keep anything like this in my memory. But if I had to choose, oh no, go the conventional way. Just go do a job, listen to your elders, and do what they did.
Why would you say that's the worst?
Because it was not about my dreams, it was living their dreams.
What is something that you used to value that you no longer value?
Other people's opinion.
If you could describe what you would want your legacy to be, as if someone was reading it, what would you want it to say?
Impactful, that she impacted a lot of individual and created a huge movement which is still helping others.
If you could create one law in the world that everyone had to follow, what would it be? And I want to know why.
Whatever you have abundant of, you have to give to the person who doesn't have it. Even it could be a small thing, one thing.
Why would that be the law?
Because when you give and the other people receive, it is the biggest heart opener to see the other people getting happy with what you could transform people, even with 1 rupee or $1 or one, just a small plant. If you don't have, you see the other people's face when they receive it, is just very satisfying.
I gotcha. I get that. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Absolutely. I really appreciate it. And I do just like to give it back to the guest. Any final words of wisdom you want to leave the listeners with?
I would say is that, whenever, if you're talking in terms of cancer, and say cancer is not the end, or anything which you are suffering with, it is not the end. You can come out of it, you can transform your life. You just have to believe and take that one single step every day. That's it. And follow people. Anything, whatever has come to your life is teaching you a lesson or has come to transform you. So get that and start applying the new principles for your new life. Because if you want a new you, you have to build from a new perspective. So don't never think that you're alone. Always, these kind of podcasts, there is so much abundance of these kind of podcasts and what other people are doing. Listen to them and apply in your lives. And there's so much of free advisors. So please don't think that you're alone and never think yourself as, oh, poor me or why, because that's just a phase.
Beautifully said. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And if listeners want to connect with you, I know you have a website. It's Awana Health, AWAANA health.com. I'll put that in the show notes as well. You have your book, The Healing Power Within. Is that on Amazon?
It is on Amazon, yes.
And are you active on social media if people want to connect
I'm
with
active
you?
on social media. I'm on Instagram, Shruti_Sethi, and I'm on Facebook. I'm on YouTube. So wherever your listeners want to connect with me, please do drop a message.
I will link all of that in the show notes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amanda.
And thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Manders Mindset. In case no one told you today, I'm proud of you. I'm rooting for you. And you got this. As always, if you enjoyed the show, I would really appreciate it if you would leave me a 5-star rating, leave a review, and share it with anyone you think would benefit from this. And don't forget, you are only one mindset shift away from shifting your life. Thanks, guys. Until next time.